Hi everybody. Um, I really want to do this video. It's been on my mind for a while, but as you can hear, I have some form of background music. I think it's gonna pass soon. Okay, great. So I'm in a new. Okay, everyone. So the music sounds like it's gone. All right. So let me just get into it. I wanted to talk about a very touchy topic. It's kind of distressing for a lot of people, but sometimes you really just gotta speak about the hard stuff, despite how difficult it is to digest or how annoying it may seem. Alright, so I wanted to talk about something that has affected me in regards to its presence in my life like a few years ago. So a few years ago, I was touched by the topic of suicide. A few years back, I started veterinary medical school, and I think it was, yeah, in my first year, I met a flatmate. I guess I'll call her, what can I call her? Let me just call her Brie or Brittany or something, right? So I met her on my flat with a group of girls when I was in Trinidad, and we weren't friends instantly, but after a while we became friends, and I realized that she was, just she wanted to get to know me, and sometimes I would visit her room, or she would come to my room, and then our dorm rooms were like right across the hall from each other, and we were in the same flat. I think there were like maybe 6 rooms on that one flat. Um, So, anyways, our friendship grew, and got to know her a bit. She realized that I was an okay person. I realized that she's an okay person. And whenever she would like finish her studies, because she studied optometry, whenever she was finished, sometimes she wanted to exercise, and I would accompany her just running around the hospital because we were close to the hospital, right? So, we run around the hospital. Sometimes I followed her to her optometry outings, like with her friends, or an optometry walk. I think one time we even went to TGIF in Trinidad. Um, yeah, not an optometry walk, sorry, a glaucoma walk, but it belonged to her program. And it was to bring awareness of glaucoma. I think it was in Port of Spain. I can't remember all the details at the moment, but she was someone I really respected and got to really like as my friend. Um, long story short, um, one particular semester I was back home in Jamaica, and I was like, I asked one of my friends, how's it that I haven't been hearing from Brittany? And she told me the horrific story that my friend had decided to end her life. So she pretty much went home from school, and I guess over the weekend they heard the news. She decided to not be here anymore. And it has been something that the moment I heard it, it completely messed me up for years. But for that very sad week when I heard it, I cried, and I wasn't able to stop crying. Um, it was too much for me to deal with. And I remember like listening to songs. I think the band Veer Symphony, they're the ones who helped me get through it just by their music. um, and my mother as well. But it wasn't something that I took very well. And from then, apart from me going through my teenage depression and just my experiences as a teenager, going through some stuff, I've never really thought so much about the topic of suicide until that happened. And ironically, I think it's a life of a Johnny. There's this book that I'm trying to remember. In my first semester at UE, we had to go through some communication studies, and we had to get that literature book, and it was about a young girl as well. Her friend had committed suicide, and then, you know, pretty much close to a year after now, I was dealing with the same thing with my friend. Um, yeah, so I'm bringing this up right now because September is Suicide Month. And I know a lot of people see others who commit suicide as being weak, as being troubled, as like trying to spite others, all sorts of bad stuff they have to say about people who commit suicide. But sometimes it's like the strongest people who, after a while, you don't even know, you don't even know they're going through it, but after a while, they just do it. It can be the most beautiful people. My friend was beautiful, educated. Take for example Chesley Chris. She was a beauty queen. She committed suicide. Sometimes depression becomes too much for a lot of people, and I think people fail to realize that. Like many people think that, oh, it's a spiritual issue. Um, they think that you're just being fussy or you're being weak and you like to complain a lot and so forth. It's not that simple, right? I don't know what goes on in the mind of others. I can speak about myself, and I can speak a little bit about the experience I've had. And um, just by like reading stories online, because I'm someone who lives on Reddit, people are hurting. A lot of people have mental disorders. A lot of people have chronic pain issues. These are many of the reasons why people might go ahead and commit suicide. Another major reason why people go ahead and commit suicide is because of bullying. And then teenagers are very, very vulnerable to bullying as well. Like when I was a teenager, I was criticized for my acne. I was called a monkey by one boy. Um, I was told, I just, after a while, I just lost my confidence. And then I was going through a period of loneliness as well, not having any friends, not being able to socialize after school, because I grew up with really strict parents. So I was by myself a lot of times, like a lot of times. So a lot of thoughts were like going through my mind. So, you have to be very careful, and bullying is a major factor in why many people might commit suicide. Sometimes people are so stressed out, they're not thinking anymore, they just find themselves jumping or they go for the rope, right? Sometimes relationship issues, a person may break up with them, a person might do something to them and then promise them and they're gone. So, some people take certain things to heart. One might call it weakness. I don't call it that way. A lot of people are sensitive and a lot of people hurt deeply. Sometimes people are trying to live for the sake of others. And, once certain things have been fixed, they choose to end their lives. So, just to let you know, because September is Suicide Awareness Month, try your very best. Like, even if you're in the best frame of mind, check on people who you think are strong. Sometimes those who are counseling you might be going through it themselves. Like, they might be going through it as well. So, check on them. Just be a good person overall to others. Be careful of the words you're saying. I myself have to take that into account, because sometimes I can be very blunt. Be careful of the words you're saying. Be careful how you handle it, and especially if you're not a professional, I would not recommend you go ahead and try and deal with someone who's suffering from suicide, because you might handle it in a very wrong way that causes the problem to get worse. And I am saying that from personal experience. Like, if you see someone going through depression, if you see someone hurting in a certain way, don't think that, oh, I can deal with it, I can fix them. Like, you can offer words of encouragement, be kind, right? Be a decent human being, but don't try to go too far. Like, recommend them to a professional. Recommend that others seek help when they're going through depression. Sometimes, even just by listening is a good way, and just like observing the person and praying for them secretly as well can be a good way of helping those who are going through it. And then there are times too you may never know, because with my friend, I can't say like there were definite clues. I mean, there was something that, but at the time I didn't really understand what I was seeing. I didn't quite know, right? And there were speculations as to why she did it. I won't mention those except for like bullying. I know she was bullied when she was younger, and as beautiful as she was, she still decided to do it. So please be very careful with people. Also, take very good care of your mental health. Um, if you're going through, like, even if it's a strenuous job, or you are have a bad relationship with your parents, with your friends, your spouse, whatever, um, find a way to step aside sometimes and regroup and think about your mental health. Think about yourself sometimes, and also be very mindful of others, put others as well, and try to help in the little ways that you can. So these are just my few words. I told myself I wasn't going to sit down and plan this out and say, I'm going to touch on this subject, and go through each one of them, or else I would not make the video. And September would end and I wouldn't get to say anything. So, just reflect on the month, and reflect on the year, reflect on the people you're with, and try to be more kind. All the best.